Welcome to the Impact Storyteller Show. My name is Anna Ngurachu, also known as the Impact Storyteller. I'm the author of the book 10,000 Steps Towards Me, creator of Impact Storyteller, which focuses on writing and personal development coaching. As a writer, I tell stories of impact that cause people to reflect, change, and act towards living authentically. Through my coaching, I help those who dare to change to think and live differently and hopefully make an impact in their lives. I also currently consult as a development economist. The Impact Storyteller Show is an online show that gets down to real talk with a selective caliber of guests, and we focus on personal development and self-discovery. In my book, I touch on 12 aspects that may influence your ability to live authentically. Today, we will dig into one aspect. To dive into the other 11 aspects, I've put a free framework of reflective questions called a dozen reflective doses that will help guide you through your own self-discovery process. You can find the link below. Today we have the pleasure of having Mandy Petrus join us. If you haven't heard that name, then you are in for a treat. Mandy is a 43-year-old public speaker and vlogger who openly shares her struggles with trying to conceive in order to inspire hope to other couples. Doctors gave them 1% chance of conceiving, and today they have a 3-year-old miracle child called Zay. Mandy and her husband Bradley have authored the book Believe Again, A Journey of Hope, which documents their 7-year journey with infertility. The book is written from both a male and female perspective and is transparent about the challenges of infertility and the impact it has on marriage. Welcome, Mandy, to our show. So great to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Anna. Such a pleasure.
Super. So Mandy, as you know, we like to jump straight into the topic. Our theme today is framed under the concept of extraneous circumstances and their influence on you, or rather, when life happens. So Mandy, what event has dramatically shaped your life and thrown you off course a little or in a major way? Can you share more about this event and its impact on you?
Sure. Such a great opening question, because Anna, the reality is that mine was not an event. It was a non-event, because this non-event that dramatically shaped my life and obviously the life of my husband was this thing called infertility, which was the inability to conceive, which is why I call it a non-event. And in the context of societal norms, infertility is not something you go and splash all over social media. In fact, it's something that causes you to go into a very dark place where you try to deal with things privately. And really not because you want to, and not because you're not looking for hope, and not because you're not looking for help. It's just that it comes with so much shame and so much questions about who you are as a person, who you are as a woman. And you must understand that societal norms has really looked at barrenness as something that the woman goes through, that is attached to you being a woman, your ability to bring forth life. And the funny thing about our non-event is that when Brad and I were actually tested, and him being the loving and supportive husband that he is, went and had, all the tests done and agreed to have his test done and held my hand through my test and my procedures. And the initial test actually showed that there was an issue on Brad's side in terms of his sperm count, his morphology. And so that was a real curveball for him as well, and even for me, because I must admit, I was kind of looking for the issue on my side as well. Right. And it was really only years later that I was diagnosed with two really untreatable diagnoses. The one being what they call early ovarian aging, where your eggs are aging a lot faster than what they should, leaving you with very little chance of a good egg being fertilized. So that was my challenge. And then the second diagnosis was endometriosis, which again was something that could have been picked up so many years ago had we actually taken the opportunity to have ourselves looked at a much earlier stage and not have waited until, oh, now I'm ready to try for a child. Let's see what happens. This is something that I encourage a lot of younger ladies before they even get married. Go and have yourself checked out and see if there's any issues that's going to avoid you from having kids in the future. Because if I had done that, we could have picked this up a lot longer. And these two diagnoses really made conception impossible. In fact, as our book says, the doctors gave us 1% chance of conceiving naturally. And so that was our non-event, but we all know the story doesn't end there.
Of course, such a delicate topic, and I'm so happy that you're being so vulnerable to share that on this platform, because I think it's such an important topic that doesn't get discussed quite a bit. And that's what we love about this show. We want to talk about these issues. And I picked up your book yesterday to start, trying to understand a little bit more about the journey. But I'm interested to hear, how did it, you kind of mentioned it a little bit already, but how did it cause you to question who you are as a woman, or your initial beliefs on, fertility or infertility? How did that happen for you?
So for me, Anna, I literally dreamt of being a mom when I was like yay high. My mom herself was a stay-at-home mom, and she had 4 kids. And for me, she represented the epitome of what I wanted my life to be like. In fact, I was rocking a little baby angel doll at the tender age of, I think, 4 or 5 years old. And literally, when I thought about this question this morning, I thought, wow, why was there a baby angel doll that we used to give as gifts to young kids? But what that did for me is it literally created that maternal instinct that this is what I wanted. I wanted a baby. I wanted to be a mom. I wanted a big family. I used to boast. I was in my 20s and I was like, I'm going to have a big family. I'm going to have 5 kids. I want my house to be full of little pitter-patter feet. And that was my story. And I got married at the age of 32 and found out that, we couldn't have, it was diagnosed at the age of 36 that I literally had 1% chance of conceiving naturally. And I wish I never had that desire. When you heard that, I was like, well, I wish I'd never had that desire to have kids, but alas, I did. And I don't want to sit here and blame society for putting any kind of pressure or creating this norm, because it was literally a desire that was in my heart. It wasn't society saying you must have kids. It's an honor to have kids. Your life doesn't progress if you don't have kids. It wasn't that at all. For me, it was really just an internal desire to really have kids. And so with the news of infertility, it literally shattered my dreams, as well as my faith. They call Brad and I that crazy couple of faith, but truth be told, there were many times, Anna, many times where my faith in God was shattered, and I had to, I could believe God for other people's promises or for other people's dreams to be fulfilled. That was easy for me. I could pray for you. But when it came to believing God for what I felt was a failure, it was difficult. In fact, in that area, I needed others to be praying for me. And I requested that kind of prayer many a times. I could depend on the prayers of others for my dreams to be fulfilled, but it was like I couldn't pray about it anymore. And I got to a point that I started bargaining with God. And I don't legislate for that, but you get to that point where you become so desperate and you're like, God, if you give me this, if you could just bless me in this area. And I made this vow with God, and it was a silent vow. I said to him, if I turn 40 without conceiving, I was going to give up. I was going to give up, irrespective of everyone and every prophet that came to pray and say, but I see kids in your arms. I see you having a child. Because the reality is, Anna, is that sometimes in life, no matter whatever it is that you're facing, it's sometimes easier to just give up than trying to go through the constant disappointments of trying again and failing, trying again and failing. And I did get to that point at some time in my life where my belief systems were utterly shattered, utterly shattered.
Sure, that's a tough pill to swallow, Mandy. Very difficult journey. I don't know how you did it. I'm curious to know how you overcame this event. Have you overcome this event? How did you get back to, shall we say, good terms with God, if I should put it that way, after bargaining? How did you overcome this event?
Yeah, so like I said, I fortunately had the support system of people that were praying for me in that area.
Okay.
And I thank God for that, because like I said, it's like I couldn't utter the words anymore. And as you know, if you've read the book, our story does not end at infertility. Praise God for that. Our story does fortunately end with Seth, in fact, being conceived and coming into this world, which literally happened at our first consult. We were entering into an IVF program. We had made the decision. I was 39 years old, and Brad and I made the decision that we were finally going to try IVF. We've tried many other things before on the journey, but we were never inclined to do IVF treatment. It was really for us our last resort. We weren't sort of financially, even though we would have had the money to do it, I was like, I can't see myself spending that kind of money on something that was probably going to give us a 5% chance of conceiving. Because remember, my stats were already low, just trying naturally. And to do IVF, yes, on average, they'll give you a 35% chance of success rate. But because of my conditions, my stats were even less. And I just couldn't see ourselves parting with that kind of money and putting that kind of faith into the program. And this is not me saying I have anything against IVF. I've come across many testimonies of the success thereof, and we celebrate equally, whether it doesn't matter how baby was conceived. We praise God for the success of the conception and bringing a baby into the world. But for us, that was our last resort. And we were in the consulting room. In fact, even in the examination, she said, look, I see something. It looks like a cyst. It looks like your endometriosis has come back, because there was a time where I had the 90% of the endometriosis removed. But when I consulted with the IVF specialist, she said, it looks like it's growing back. I see something foreign. I'm not happy with what I'm looking at.
Right.
And then back in a consultation room, she had Brad and I going through our entire history and our entire journey and all the tests that we've done and all the failures of the various procedures we went through. And she eventually came across the one question, of when was your last period? And she then had to send me off for a quick pregnancy test, on the stick. Yeah. And it was then confirmed later with a blood test that I was, in fact, already pregnant. So there we were trying to sort of, our last resort and feeling very anxious about it. And so Seth was actually conceived naturally against all odds, against the doctors saying you have 1% chance of actually conceiving naturally. So many people would probably ask the question, do you not then feel like everything you did was such a waste of time? God came through for you eventually. Was your journey not a waste of time? All those years of procedures, all those years of crying, all those years of waiting. You spent so much time worrying, so much time being anxious. But here's what the journey taught us, Anna, is that it taught us perseverance.
Definitely.
It taught us patience. It taught us long suffering. It taught us to communicate better as a couple. It brought us together as a couple. And I believe that we are stronger together because of it.
Definitely. And I love how you put it. This was the dream that you had. And I like this quote that says, put the dream in concrete and the plan in the sand. So all those years was probably the sand taking you, meandering around all these pathways, but the dream was written. And
it was written.
and it happened naturally. That's incredible.
I love
That's
that.
incredible. Yeah. I mean, I read a story about, you spoke about IVF just now, about a 43-year-old lady, and I think he was about 53 at this time, the husband, that went through an IVF process, and he had prostate cancer. So he had no viable sperm, and she was 43 years old, and they were trying to have 2 new babies. That was their goal.
Wow.
And just speaking about the power of a dream and a goal, they actually used visualization and telling their body what to do through this whole process. So they went through 3 rounds of IVF. I don't know how they got some viable sperm from the gentleman, but they eventually did. And she used to speak to her body, and she used to tell the body and the cells what to do, because she just had this visualization of what her family looks like. And that just reminds me so much of you, of, you know, as a kid, this is what she wanted. And look at now, your dream has come. It was written all along. So it was not within you for nothing. It was there for a reason. So I love your story.
Sure.
Yeah. So powerful, definitely. Powerful. That's amazing. So, I mean, you know, in spite of what had happened, and in spite of all the struggles you've been through and that whole meandering of the path, what was the aha moment that you may not have 5 children? I don't know if that's still a goal, but you have this beautiful space.
2 maybe. I'm pushing now for 2. Yeah, maybe. I'm really, you know, sort of trying to bring up the courage to have, not the courage, but it's such a massive faith walk, Anna, that it's crazy faith that would make you believe that it's possible to have a second child after, I'm 43 already, and really, again, but the trust is not in my own body. It's like exactly what you said about the lady. She spoke to her body. I literally have to speak to my womb and say, you will, and you can, and you're healthy. So I get that. I so get that. But to get back to your question about that aha moment, my aha moment is that, and I think you actually put the picture so perfectly together. It's about the dream was going to be fulfilled anyway, whether you went this way, that way. If it's ordained to be, it will be. If it's ordained to be, if it's part of your destiny, it will be. I think I'm just grateful that I get to share my story, and that others are blessed by it, really.
Definitely. And you do actually have a portal where you actually communicate with people about infertility. So correct. I think you're continuing that journey of hope, not just for you, but for so many other couples, so many other single mothers, or even single fathers who are trying to conceive in different ways. So thank you for sharing and being vulnerable. I think these stories, you have no idea how much they mean to other people, if that makes sense. Even though it's such a taboo topic, people are open to learning, and definitely thank you and Bradley for that. Yeah.
Pleasure.
So, I mean, what would you say? You've already given a couple of take-home tips for women. You know, go get tested, go and see what's happening in your body before you decide to maybe look at having children, or even if you're not even thinking about having children, for example.
Correct.
What other tips or other suggestions or recommendations would you give to our audience today based on our conversation?
So for me, what I'm wanting to share with our audience is really not just on infertility, because I think before the recording, Anna, I shared with you that we have extended our message to further than just infertility, because for us the infertility journey was really, like my book says, it's a journey of hope, and everyone needs hope in their lives. Everyone is going through a storm, everyone is going through some kind of challenge, and yes, our challenge was specifically around infertility, but everyone has a challenge. And so what I want to share with you today is that when you're going through your storm, through your challenge, know that your endurance and your final outcome is not only for you. In fact, its impact is for a larger audience, which is why I love what we're doing today, Anna. And so thank you again for the platform. But it's for those that you've been called to influence. We all have our sphere of influence, lives that we are supposed to touch through our walk, through our life here upon the earth. Our purpose in life is never for ourselves. And I think you touch on that in your book as well, because we will benefit from the outcome and what we learn through the process. But the reality is, and the truth be told, that we were destined for things far above and beyond our four walls. We've been destined to touch lives. So let our story be told, let your story be heard, and may it bring about change, that even you cannot fathom. May this story, may your platform, may Impact Storyteller touch many lives as you begin to interview people in daily lives. We're normal people, Anna. You and I, we're just living our lives and trying to get through the day, but you have no idea that the learnings upon the journey can really help another not to make the same mistakes, to accelerate things in their lives, and really to be an encouragement and some kind of source of hope for others who are going through trials and tribulations.
No, definitely. I could not have said it better, Mandy. Our stories need to be told. So thank you for that. And, speaking about stories, where can the audience find you and get more insights from you? And obviously order your book.
Yeah, so you can go ahead and like the Believe Again Facebook page. You can find it. So it's called Believe Again MP. So that's how you find it, at Believe Again MP, but it's called Believe Again as a Facebook page. And we share many encouraging testimonies on that page. In fact, we do a live, myself and Brad, we do a live every Saturday at 6 p.m. And what we've done is, as I said earlier, it's not even just about infertility. We started our page talking a lot about infertility. So if that is your challenge, I would say go back to about a year and a half. We've got plenty of videos that speak to infertility. We've done many interviews with people about infertility, but of late, and it's probably been about 4 months in now, we've been opening up to other testimonies that just speaks about life. In fact, just on my live recently, we're going to be talking about financial breakthrough and really just enduring, the pandemic, even just sharing stories on breakthrough and how we get through things, and just to offer hope once again, because the show is called Believe Again. So it's really to encourage you to believe again, even when you failed, even when you've had disappointments, is really to believe again. So that is our Facebook page. If you're wanting to order the book, we are available on Amazon. So there's a Kindle version on Amazon. And if you need a physical copy, you are welcome to drop us an inbox. We do have physical copies as well that we can have delivered to you, or drop us an email on believeagainbook@icloud.com.
Thanks so much, Mandy. I'll put all of those links at the bottom of the video for everybody to have access to. Perfect. Super. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much, Mandy. I'm so grateful that you took, this opportunity to come on our show and really share your insights and your wisdom. So thank you for your time and sharing your lesson and being honest and vulnerable. I really, really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure.
Awesome. So before you go, Mandy, we like to end off with a short game called This or That Game. So I don't know what to ask you, but I thought, let me ask you this question. So Mandy, would you rather be the person who speaks on stage or the person who runs the show of an event from the background? So are you more of a front person or like stay in the background kind of person?
That's an easy one. Put me on the stage. I've got a story that needs to be told.
I love it. You and me both.
Awesome.
Oh, thank you so much, Mandy. It was so lovely having you. And to the audience, we'll catch you next time.
Well, there you have it. A few minutes of deep, impactful insights. Thank you very much to our guests. You can find our guest links in the description below, so check those out and stay in touch with them. For key takeaways on how to reflect and apply what we've talked about here, I've put a free framework of reflective questions based on my book 10,000 Steps Towards Me that will help guide you through your self-discovery process. Click on the link in the description to jump into my framework tool, a dozen reflective doses. Remember, there's nothing more purposeful than finding you and taking the leap to live authentically. Feel free to share your stories with me. I can't wait to hear about how you made that leap for yourself. Until next time.